All right. Well, welcome to the podcast. The Vegan Champion podcast welcomes Ryan from Happy Healthy Vegan. You will probably ring a bell to people who are in the vegan scene or who have been in the vegan scene. I've been following your guys' videos since you and Angie. You guys have been making videos for years now, and I remember back
Hmm.
in the day when I was first becoming vegan. I think you guys were some of the first YouTubers that I watched. So, dude, great to finally be making some content together, and welcome to the show, man. How's everything going with you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, as good as things can be given the state of the world right now. But yeah, not so bad. I can't complain. Yeah.
I think it's all perspective, and you just got to try. I think everyone's got things to be grateful for, and I think we can all go into that.
Yeah.
And I'm just I look at it as I'm focusing more on doing what I love, which is definitely doing these kind of podcasts and connecting with like-minded vegan creators and trying to create some community. And especially right now, if we can do this podcast and we
Yeah.
can talk about some interesting things that maybe you haven't talked about before or I haven't talked about before, and we
Who
can
knows?
who
We'll
knows what's
see.
going to come up, who
I
knows.
have
But
no idea what you're going to ask. So let's see.
hope, hopefully we can come up with some good content and give people some value. But I'd love to start with your backstory. If you could give people a bit of context just on kind of where you come from, who you are, how you went vegan, all that. If you can give people a bit of a picture of yourself.
It's a pretty broad question. If you want to narrow it down a little bit, I'll be more than happy to answer, but I'm kind of speechless when asked something like that. Anything in particular
Well,
where you want me to start? Or
if you were to start with, I guess, how you went vegan. At what point in your life did you go vegan?
Okay, I can definitely answer that. I went fully 100% vegan in 2010, but there's a backstory to that because in the early 1990s, when I was younger and still living at home, college age, I tried going vegetarian. I thought at the time it was a really good idea. It seemed like, if you could eat food that doesn't involve killing animals, it seems like a win. I don't know why other people aren't doing this in mass. So I was doing it for a while. I think I was kind of introduced to it in a roundabout way through going to events around LA and concerts, and the Hare Krishnas would be out there giving their really delicious food. In fact, I would go to their restaurants until there's not too many of them left around here. There's one in LA. Anyway, so that didn't last too long because I guess I was living at home. I wasn't really knowledgeable in how to make food. It's kind of dependent on my mom kind of going along with me. So it lasted a little while, but I dug it. It was cool. And then when Angie and I started going out in 1998, she had been a vegetarian for those parts since the 1980s. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Pulp Fiction, the line that Samuel Jackson says, "My girlfriend's a vegetarian," which pretty much makes me a vegetarian. So once I started living with Angie, she's controlling the cooking. She's not cooking meat separately for me or anything like that. So I was eating pretty vegetarian since I met Angie and we started living together in 1999. And a few times after that, after we started going out and living together, I was interested in veganism. Tried it around a few times, and it was cool. I dug it, and finally in 2010, I said, "Why am I even goofing around here? I want to get back to that original concept I had, a spiritual idea that resonated with me so powerfully in the early 90s. Like, you don't need to eat animals in order to live." I always tell people, if you have a choice of choosing a lifestyle that involves killing animals and one that doesn't, it just seems like a no-brainer. Assuming the one that doesn't is equally, if not more, healthy, nutritious, and all that, you're not lacking anything. It just seems like a no-brainer. The longer I stayed, I saw, it's actually better for the environment. Like, animal agriculture is the number one source of greenhouse gas emissions, species extinction, habitat loss, rainforest destruction. It's just so bad for our planet. And I'm all about passing on a planet to the next generation who deserve it. We got to grow up for most of our lives thus far on a habitable planet. I believe it's just basic decency to pass that on to the next generation. And I see so little being done on that front. It's frustrating. So that's one of the reasons why I got into vegan advocacy or activism, whatever you want to call it, to spread the message like, hey, if you want to really do your children good, you should kind of listen to what some of us are saying.
I love it, man. I hear so much of what I went through in your story. I think a lot of people have, very relatable stories when we talk about what, this sort of, I don't know, is it a rabbit hole or whatever we call this awakening we experience when we start learning, and you just keep learning more and more, and it just makes more and more sense. I mean, I think to a lot of us, I think some people fight it more than others, but there's a lot to be gained, I think, from just eating plants. And
Oh, cool. I'm glad you bought my story, because the true reason is I wanted to have really flattering butt pictures on Instagram with spiritual messages beneath the butt photos of mine. No, I'm just kidding. I think those are the people that end up not being vegan because they don't have a story like that. Their story is they wanted to look good in a bikini and get a big following on social media. And that's why a lot of these people made videos in the past years why they're no longer vegan.
Yeah, there's for sure a lot of people who just, they throw that vegan label on there just because it's the trending whatever. And it's, people can get a bit of clout from it or what have you. So that's, but I think that, what's really interesting about you is, I mean, in particular recently, you've gotten into politics, and as you were starting to say there, you started getting into advocacy, and same thing with me. It's like you start with, oh, this makes sense, and then more and more, I really want to do something about this. And I guess you're sort of in a similar place where you're probably thinking a lot like I am. What can we do? Like, what is the best use of our time to sort of move this, move this along? So what are your thoughts? What can we do? What are you doing? What do you think is the best thing for people to do?
I think everyone has their comfort zone and their unique skills. A lot of people say, hey, you ever thought about being a vegan activist? I go, what the hell do you think I've been doing all these years? Just because, my way is different than other people's way. Like, I think I'm not bagging on anyone, okay? But I'm going, there is a certain segment that believes the only way to be a vegan activist is pick the one that they're doing. Like, I stand in front of slaughterhouses, which is cool. I'm all for that. Or whatever. But I'm going, there's many ways to do it. Like, say, Dr. Garth Davis, is a medical doctor, has a huge social media following. He's been in all these vegan documentaries. And his best way of utilizing his unique personal strengths is probably not to go to slaughterhouses. His way is writing books and being on television and, being an educated voice on the healthful benefits of a plant-based diet, while also acknowledging the environmental and moral implications of veganism. I want him being a doctor and doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm doing, and likewise, I'm playing to my particular strengths and doing, being on social media. So I just kind of find it self-serving when some people think there's only one way to be a vegan activist. Some people's way of being a vegan activist is kind of the way a lot of people get started, is showing food on their social media to all their friends and family and following that don't know what vegans eat. They think we eat salad and birdseed all day. They go, wow, that vegan lasagna looks amazing. I want some of that. And that's one way to turn people on, to show vegan food isn't gross, because that's a common misconception.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you're saying there. Is like, people need to stop. Why the conversation shouldn't be about what's the most, and I guess maybe the way I phrased the question there, it's not really about what's the most effective. It's about, like, what can you do that you'll be able to do, and you'll be able, you can be effective at, right? So for you though, you've obviously chosen to say, hey, I'm gonna, see if I can have a seat at this political kind of game. So could you talk a little bit about that? What sort of inspired you to move in that direction?
All right. I'm not sure how much I'd say about this, but it all started very innocently a couple Christmases ago. I guess that would be 2018. We went to a party that some vegan friends of ours were throwing, Veganics, give a shout out to them. And we started talking to some of the guests there, and one of them, a friend, Maggie, now a friend, turns out at the time she was a very important person in the Humane Party. You may have heard of, like, Clifton Roberts running as a vegan. And at the time, she was in charge of trying to find people to run for politics with the Humane Party. And when she found out what we're doing, what I'm doing, actually she approached Angie first and said, hey, you'd be good at this. She said, oh no, get my husband. He's the one that really would, like, go for this kind of thing. So I started talking to her, and I go, yeah, maybe I will run for a political office. And after a while, I had to figure out what to run for. At first, it's like, I think they're trying to get more publicity than anything for the cause, and I don't blame them. Like, running for president, like Clifton Roberts and stuff like that, and there's like, zero chance of making a dent into that race, let alone winning, So I thought long and hard, and I saw where I live at here in Long Beach, there's not a vacant city council seat, but a very vulnerable one, a very unpopular current incumbent who later on dropped out of didn't run for re-election. She announced that back in October, but we all knew she was vulnerable. So a lot of people ran, I ran. And what else do you want to know about it? That's how I got into it. I was recruited by the Humane Party. Afterwards, I kind of left them because my friend Maggie left. And after that, I had no communication with them. I was trying to hey, you guys got me. Let's talk. Let's do strategy. Let's figure crap out. And they're just busy. I'm not complaining, figuring out their own internal party issues, right, and weren't really supporting me or any other candidates that I could tell. I said, I'm just going to run. It's a non-party office, city council, at least here in Long Beach. So I didn't really need to be affiliated to any party. It doesn't, when you're on the ballot, it doesn't say Republican, Democrat, Humane Party, or anything like that. So I said, I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing, not run with a party.
Oh, there you go. Okay, interesting.
Because here's why. I started taking it seriously. Not to interrupt you, but first I'm going, okay, it's kind of a publicity thing, bringing attention to animal rights, and which I was doing the whole way through to the very end. But there's a certain point where I said, I'm taking this seriously. I'm not just running as a gimmick or anything. I want to try to freaking win this thing if I can.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, why not? Why not?
And that's why I chose that race. So the one I had a chance of winning. It turns out I was completely naive. Even for a city council race, I was outfunded by literally 50 to 1, 100 to 1. It's just no chance. Money really does win races.
I wonder about what the, I don't know, when you sort of weigh up, there is this discussion. I mean, despite what we said about everybody doing different things, and, I think different kinds of activism are needed, there still is this discussion of is it politics and is it policy, or is it individuals and, the supply and demand? And what are your thoughts on those two things at play? Because, you see different organizations out there. Some of them are doing things like, going out to the slaughterhouses and, sort of trying to get more of, or going out and doing outreach and trying to hit the consumer. And then you see other people who are targeting more, politics. And I'm wondering if, how you think about those. Do you think about those as sort of, I don't know, you need to choose one or the other, or how do you think about the different kind of approaches?
Well, it goes back to what I said, the prior question was that play to your strengths, do what you feel like you can be the Michael Jordan of vegan activism, and so do what you're going to be good at. Don't go into a role that you're uncomfortable or unskilled or don't want to learn those skills. But the answer is, instead of thinking it look at it collectively. We're much better if every person who's vegan and who wants to be an advocate or an activist goes out and does what they're good at. We're much stronger collectively. Like I said, we have the doctors doing their thing. We have social media people doing their thing, the hardcore street activists doing their thing, and a whole bunch of other types of activism I didn't even mention in between all of that. We're strong collectively.
I love that. And that's what I love to see. I love to see that kind of attitude and the words that just came out of your mouth. I'm growing kind of tired of some of the infighting within the vegan movement.
It's pointless. It's pointless. What's the best kind of advocacy? All of them. Just do it. Do something. And if you think yours is the right one, you got to do some serious soul searching. Why did you happen to pick the right one and everyone else is wrong? Get off your high horse. Stop being so conceited and let everyone do their thing. I always tell people the animals really don't care, why you're a vegan advocate, what kind of advocacy you're doing. They don't care if you're just posting photos on social media of your food or if you're in front of a slaughterhouse or whatever. They don't care. They just don't want to die. So they're not going to say, oh, that activist is better than that one. That does not exist. If you're truly for the animals, let's all get out there and spread the message in the best way we can. This infighting is stupid. It's conceited. It's kind of losing point of the purpose.
Yeah, I completely agree. I wish we could just hey, if we're going to have discussions, right? If you and I want to get together and we say, hey, we're both YouTube creators or we're both, podcasters, where we want to, bounce ideas off each other and talk about what do we think's working and have constructive discussions. Of course, obviously. But when it comes to us saying okay, let's make it a YouTube health niche, group. And let's go and bash everybody else who's doing anything different than what we're doing. that actually happens. Like there's actually people who take that approach, and I wish we could get rid of that.
Yeah, health is important. That's not the original reason why I got into veganism, but it's extremely important. And here's why. First of all, it's important to have good health. I think that's a given. But secondly,
Hopefully.
it's about attracting people. That's the whole point of advocacy or activism, is to wake people up. And not everyone is going to wake up from the same message. Some people, when they see a movie like Earthlings, are instant vegan. Others will just be offended and never look at it again. However, if you approach them with a different message, like maybe health, maybe they have some health conditions or worry about some that might be genetic or common to their other family members, that might be what pulls them in. Or they just might be athletes. You show them a movie like Game Changers, and all of a sudden, they didn't care about what the health or Cowspiracy, but Game Changers, now I'm going vegan. It's like I said, the animals don't care why people stop eating the meat. They just want to be left alone and not raised to be tortured and killed.
They don't, but some people would argue that if you're just going vegan for the health of the environment, then you're kind of more likely to go back to not being vegan, because there are certain advocates who will say that if they're not vegan for the animals, right, it's a lot easier to sort of flip flop and go back.
Well, here's the point, the counter argument to that. First, they're speaking hypothetically. They're just making stuff up. There's no data that really supports that, even though there is data saying that the more reasons you have for being vegan, the more likely you are to remain vegan. So if you have just one reason, that's not as good as having, I call it, at least 3 reasons: the environment, health, and animals. So I'm saying is some people come, like say Rich Roll, he came for the health. He had horrible health and is overweight, and has as much ethical, moral, vegan fiber as anyone, because he learned that later on. He understands the environmental art. You come for one and you learn the others. And I don't see why the hardcores don't understand. This really does happen. It's not, I'm just not making this up.
I agree. And I said what I said before because I was just sort of representing.
Counterpoint. Yeah, I know that. I know that point of view. Yeah, I just laugh at that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
they don't give people enough credit.
Yeah, I think that as you said, exactly, you come for one reason and then you learn. Yeah, you learn. You see what's going on.
The longer you stay, the more you learn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of hard to absorb everything at one time. Like, wow, it's good for my health, saves the planet, and it's good for that. It's hard to absorb it. You kind of just have to take in one at a time and let that absorb and resonate with you. Then you start learning the other ones when you're ready.
When you're ready, exactly. And that's the thing that I always try to help people remember is that, people need to be ready to hear whatever it is. And, somebody might be ready to hear the health message or the environmental message, but not ready to hear the ethical message. Because frankly, the ethical message is the hardest to sort of hear. People need to be ready to, either watch some footage or to just consider the sort of ethical dilemma of it all. So that's what I've found is that, we can't put too much emphasis on what we're doing either. It's also about whether people are ready or not. And you just got to do whatever you feel is best. So you're doing, so what's next? So you said that raise, you're running, campaigning for City Hall, and then the election happens. So take it.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm no longer in the race. You either have to win with a majority of votes, and if not, the top 2 vote getters will run in a runoff election this November. And I'm not. The top 2 vote getters had well over $100,000 in their campaigns, more compared to my 3,000, which I'm very grateful for receiving. And I got it almost completely from vegans and people that wanted to see my ideas, get spread, and hopefully
cool.
a person like me with my values representing in politics. But sure, I got my message out there, and I'm kind of, as far as Long Beach goes, even though I've lived here 20 years, that's where I'm running for city council, where I was, kind of an unknown. I just kind of do my thing here at home. I'm not out and about, and people don't know me. I mean, some do, but obviously, but I'm not that popular in Long Beach. But now, I've made my point known. I've made I made a couple videos. I use my YouTube skills. Playing to my strengths. My strengths are not walking around and knocking on doors and talking to people, even though I'm okay at that. It's not my wheelhouse, but my wheelhouse is making YouTube videos. And towards about 3 weeks before the election, some big scandal broke out in our campaign. one of the leaders in our race. All this information's coming how, and there was rumors about this for a while, but how she didn't really live in our city. She lived in some Republican stronghold like a dozen miles away, but was saying she's a Democrat and living in Long Beach, and all this scandal going on. And so I went through all the research and do what I do for our vegan videos, try to make a very fact-based, evidence-based, easy to understand video where I clearly go through the facts and show what's happening. And usually I'm doing that about like the meat industry or Joe Rogan lying about some crap about veganism. This time I was doing about this candidate, and it really got around. Like, yeah, everyone in town, not everyone, but a lot of people are quite grateful I made these videos. And even though I didn't win, I went on election night, I went to this is the video is about one of the top two vote getters. I went to the other top vote getter who is not involved in scandal. I went to his party that night, his victory party, and people were stoked to see me. They're all taking pictures with me and stuff like that. And
oh, that's awesome. That's super cool.
So I made my mark on Long Beach politics, and I'm going to make another video really soon. Some of the right-wing people are trying to organize go out and hang out in mass and spread coronavirus with everyone.
Wow, one of those things. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to make a video and get it out and try to promote it to the Long Beach crowd, how this is stupid. It's just completely irresponsible. It's a slap into the face to people you probably don't want to slap in the face, such as our first responders, our EMTs, police, fire department, and I'm sure a lot of them have friends and relatives that work in the health industries and hospitals, because they're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of being the responders to increased cases. It's just asinine how this has become a political issue. I mean, it's a virus. It doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't know race, politics, or anything like that. And it's just stupid how the misinformation is so rampant with this, with the coronavirus. It's so yeah, I'm going to try to make a video to convince Long Beach people not to pay any attention to this nonsense and stay home and stay sheltered until we have better information that it's safe to finally go out and kind of return back to normal somewhat. But to gather in mass gatherings unprotected is just stupid. Yeah, you might not get it, but you could be one of the many silent. Most people are asymptomatic, and they don't know they're carrying it, and that's the whole horrible problem. They don't know they have it, and you're most contagious before you even show the first symptom. That's why this thing is taken off like it has. Why it's so dangerous. And you might not get sick, but someone else that you know could get sick. And I tell you, it's the first responders that have to pay the price too, dealing with more cases and work. So yeah, I'm going to make some more videos about Long Beach politics relating to COVID for sure.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I'm interested to hear what you think about this whole, when people talk about coronavirus is not just COVID-19.
Yeah.
They are it's zoonotic, right? A zoonotic disease, or is it?
No one knows with absolute certainty yet, but the best evidence is yes, it's most likely a zoonotic disease that indeed originated in China. And this is not wild, crazy, wacky reasoning. I mean, pretty much all the infectious diseases that we've seen in this century have been zoonotic diseases. Even if you go back to the 80s, AIDS is a zoonotic disease.
and so how do you think about because a lot of vegans now are talking about, sort of drawing attention to this and saying, hey, these infectious diseases, they tend to be coming from what we're doing to animals, and maybe we should be looking at our relationship with animals, and maybe canceling animal agriculture. There's campaigns of people trying to say, hey, let's use this as an opportunity to do things like try to get subsidies out of animal agriculture, for example. Any thoughts on these sort of tactical political
I mean, I'm all for that. Even before COVID-19 broke out, yeah. I mean, I've been long against the subsidies that go to animal agriculture to drive down the price of meat, to increase demand for cheese and animal products. It's unfair. I mean, how come there's not such financial incentives for the potato industry, or pick your favorite plant industry?
Yeah.
It's unfair, and it lowers the costs down so that people are eating more of these unhealthy products, destroying more of our planet's ecosystems, making this life in general worse health-wise, environmentally wise. So yeah, there needs to be a fight for that. That said, with the inertia of our government, I really doubt you're going to see the end of agricultural subsidies anytime soon. I'm not sure what it would take for that, but I mean, screw government. I mean, people can spread the message and try to that's what I've made a few videos showing the connection between what's happening now in animal agriculture. I never came out and said what needs to be done. Here's what you must do, people, or else you're bad people. Just giving people the information, the best information that I have, that these are zoonotic diseases. And furthermore, the United Nations says that this is kind of a wake-up call, because they suggest that zoonotic diseases like this will become more frequent because the loss of natural habitat, animals are under more stress. We could be going through something like this instead of once every 100 years, maybe once every decade. Who knows? So we need to start rethinking. We as a human species, we need to restart thinking what we eat as food and what effects it has.
Word. 100%. I think that it's not unreasonable to bring it up at this time, and sort of, talk about the root cause of, what's happening. And
people say, oh, this just happens in China because it's wet markets and the conditions there are filthy. And I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting how they have live animals, dead animals, animal guts, humans, all in close quarters. Sometimes when they're not at the wet markets, people are sleeping and with the animals, living with the animals in these conditions too. It's a horrible just breeding ground for zoonotic diseases. That said, we have similarly disgusting, filthy conditions in animal slaughterhouses too, with all the blood, guts, people working shoulder to shoulder. I was doing some research on the 1918 pandemic, and no one's exactly sure where it originated, but some of the major schools of thought say it originated here in the United States. So it's just, zoonotic diseases don't only come from other parts of the world.
No.
We could start one here is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think that it's important for people to realize that they also need to look in their own backyard, right? It's not
people say it's just Chinese people eating bats and dogs or what have you. And yeah, sure. There is a segment of Chinese culture where they do live in much closer proximity with animals than what we're used to here in the West. But like I said, that's just not a Chinese problem. Zoonotic disease can break out anywhere where animal agriculture is happening. Just a higher probability in that kind of scenario, but still a pretty high, decent probability in slaughterhouses and other conditions of animals and humans, and not the most hygienic conditions being kept.
So you guys I was watching some of your videos just before the interview here, and you guys are doing some ordering, and you did a video about you guys, it's getting harder and harder to get food where you guys are.
Just making a new one right now, describing our situation from last week, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone's experiencing, it's not like, business as usual.
No, not quite. Not quite exactly the same. I just got back from Thailand just over a week ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm at my parents' house now, but I'm in the basement, not going upstairs. We did a whole,
good.
Haven't had any contact with them because I came through Bangkok, I came through Seoul, and I came through JFK, and it was
wow, yeah, you want to not come in contact with your parents for a while. No. I mean, I'm not a medical. Now I want to emphasize too, I'm not a medical doctor. I've just been doing a lot of reading and research. People saying, "Don't believe the media; it's full of lies." I go, I'm not learning about this from the media. I'm following virologists and epidemiologists on Twitter and reading the reports that they're sharing. I mean, so yeah, that's right. But yeah, you're doing the right thing from everything I've read. Isolate yourself from your parents because age is a risk factor. And this is what pisses me off. most of us are probably, if we get it, won't know about it or have some mild symptoms, but it's those who have immune compromise situations, older people, people with some of the pre-existing risk factors like age, diabetes, hypertension. My mom has pretty much all of those. It's just the arrogance, like, oh, I'm not going to get it, but someone else might, and you're cool with killing someone. So, but yeah, I know you're not. You're doing the responsible thing. Quarantine yourself. I know they say maybe 14 days, maybe go longer. Who knows?
I know, man. I'm like, I would feel so terrible if I passed something on to my parents. And the way I think about it too, because I saw your video, sort of responding to, some people who are saying, maybe
the fruitarians,
if you eat just diet, you're not going to
fruits and you're 100% impervious, and there's absolutely zero research backing that up.
I think what we can say is that the immune system, it is something that we can do to help. There are things we can do to improve our immune system, right? We can say that. But I mean, going back to my own situation, the way I look at it, right, is I'm 29 years old. I'm fittest I've ever been in my life. I eat whole food, mostly whole food, plant-based diet. Like I'm a healthy dude. And if anybody were to be asymptomatic, it's probably me, because,
you are.
so, I mean, every time I feel a little like, sniffle or anything, I'm like, oh, probably COVID, and my immune system just, but I don't know. I'm kind of joking about that. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but that's sort of my thought on it, right? It's like, I want to be careful, right? Because if I have it, but I'm not symptomatic, I would rather, I keep myself isolated and not pass anything on, because rather err on the side of caution. But
if you do have to pass with your parents, put a mask on or something in case you cough. It's supposed to help. I didn't realize how far droplets can be spread by singing, yelling, or coughing. So that's what the masks really do. They don't really protect you; they protect others.
Are you're into cycling, running, aren't you? I know you do running, at least. You're an athlete. And
totally.
I was reading some of the there are these tests that they've done to see when you're running behind somebody or when you're cycling in the
I read about that too.
You can't just go out and keep 2 meters, because that's like that's right in your face. So you got to be extra careful. But
I've been advocating that runners. I don't know if you use the app Nextdoor. I was using that during my political race. I still make posts on it. It's kind of like Facebook, but for local neighborhoods and areas.
That's cool.
Sort of.
Cool.
So I've been advocating on there that, because people complain how runners don't maintain social distance on the sidewalk. It's impossible, right? If you're passing someone, the sidewalks are only so wide. It's not 6 feet. So I've been advocating. Here's what I do: just run out the street.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way to maintain social distance.
Some places close the streets. Some cities are closing some streets to allow for exercise, or at least that's what I've heard.
Great. Just run out in the street, because that way you can, and don't run with headphones on, because so that way you can hear if traffic's coming. You want to be safe yourself. But just get out in the street. That way, if there's people walking their dogs or walking their family, you're away from them. If someone's coming at you, zig to the other side of the street for a while. And then if you see someone else, I keep zigging back and forth until I want to maintain more than 6 feet. I like 30 feet of space when I'm running. I want anyone near me. I don't want to, I don't want to be part of the problem. So maintain social distance.
Yeah. I mean, while we're on the topic, I mean, what have you found to be, I mean, has obviously everybody's life sort of changing, and, what are some good, maybe some coping mechanisms that we could give to people, things that you've maybe found? I don't know. Is there any way that you're looking at things differently now that's helping you, or maybe not helping you? I mean, how are you dealing with the whole situation?
I would say, there's reasons to stay positive and be grateful. Depends where you live exactly. Everyone's somewhere else. But in California, we have reasons to be grateful that California had the foresight to be pretty much the first state in the nation to start implementing these mitigating measures, like closing down our state. We saw what was happening in Italy and knew that they were just 2 weeks. You could look at the rise in cases and deaths, and we were just following them by 2 weeks. So, okay, we need to start shutting down now so it doesn't get out of hand as there. New York was ahead too. So here, I'm grateful that our hospitals here and the ICUs are not overwhelmed. The people and relatives and friends I know that work in health still have personal protective equipment. So grateful for and then some people say, oh, I knew it wasn't going to be that bad. It's because we implemented these measures ahead of time. So I'm grateful California's not being hit too hard. And yeah, I'm glad my mom is staying safe. You know, I've beat it through her head what's going on. She fully understands what's happening now. I just said, Mom, you're just going to stay home for sure all of April. I've created an Instacart account for her, so I order all her food to get delivered for her. I'm making sure she doesn't leave the house. Just want her to stay home and be safe right now.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I think. Yeah, we're lucky here too. I mean, you know, it's not gotten too crazy. I mean, Ontario is, I think it's the highest in Canada, but it's still relatively like under control, you know, compared to other places. So from what I understand, at least.
Yeah, it looks like Canada's been pretty good about being responsible and taking this seriously. So yeah, be grateful for that. Where you live at, you're taking it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen with this. I mean, it could disappear. It could get worse. There could be multiple waves, but you know,
there probably will be multiple waves. Yeah. I think we'll learn a lot more as soon as the antibody testing comes online, which will show if you had it or not. Like someone like you, it was, you know, it may have been asymptomatic. You don't know. So
yeah, I would love to know. I would love to know, because then you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, no, and we don't know how long antibodies will last, but there's compared to other viruses similar to this, you know, like SARS, it lasts about like 2 years, what I've heard. So it'll offer some protection until we get to a point where if there's necessary to vaccinate people, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think the antibody testing will reveal a lot and allow us to go back to some kind of normal life. Not like it was before, but, you know, most of us are antsy to get back to what we're doing, return to work or whatever, you know. A lot of people are getting a little crazy at home.
Yeah. I mean, people are always talking about the new norm or going back to normal, or let's go back to normal. Or, you know, I'm like, man, like,
no. Normal sucked.
Yeah. Like let's improve. Let's just look forward. Let's improve. Like there are improvements we're making you know, a lot of people are realizing how lucky we are to be in this sort of digital era where we're literally like so connected, like this, you know, with whoever we want to be. Like there's lots of positive coming out of this. I think that not go back, rather let's evolve and keep moving forward.
Yeah, especially here in the United States, COVID crisis has been exposing a lot of the flaws that have been underlying us here in the United States, such as, I've said this for years, I never understood why here in this country, healthcare was tied to employment. They seem like two completely different concepts. And now with so many people losing their jobs at once, and they also lose their healthcare at a time when it's even more critical to have healthcare, I'm hoping more people realize these ideas shouldn't be conjoined together. It's dangerous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
I don't think this is political. I know it's been politicized, just like a virus has been politicized. It shows you all these things get politicized. Yeah. People say you're all left. I go, no, I'm just common sense here. You know, I mean, why is it that, you know, if you're sick and you lose your job, you can no longer go to the doctor? That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Right.
At least that happens here in this country.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting conversations that's sort of being put on the table because of this is the universal basic income conversation. And like,
again, why? Yeah, now more than ever, it shows how if for some reason you can't work for a month or two, why should you be homeless? Basically, we need some kind of help as far as some kind of universal basic income. And I think Andrew Yang was very forward thinking, seeing what was happening to our economy, how jobs are becoming more and more automated. It's not getting better, and this showed the problem now too. Like with COVID, it's kind of accelerating the push for more automation, so workers don't get sick. So it's going to accelerate the problem.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I think it's
and if someone's completely against the idea of universal basic income, you think it's communism or socialism or whatever word you want to throw on it. I mean, it goes back. It predates Andrew Yang. It has nothing to do with political parties. And if you think the money is so offensive, donate it to your favorite charitable cause. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. If you don't want it, there's many people that could benefit from it, many groups and organizations. So do that, you want to wash your hands from the free money.
I mean, I'm like far from an economist, and I'm not a, somebody who has a lot of knowledge about, finances and all this stuff. But to me, just thinking about, the way that jobs are being automated and people are going to be replaced because it's going to be cheaper to have, robots or applications or whatever it is, AI, I mean, all this stuff to take away certain jobs. And there's going to be this obsolete class. I don't know if you've all know Harari, if you've read Sapiens or any of his
No.
books. Check him out. He's really interesting. Yeah, Yuval Noah Harari's the author, and he talks about a lot of this stuff, and just sort of there's going to be this essentially, for lack of a more, I don't know, polite term, but it's the useless class. It's going to be basically an obsolete class of people that are currently doing jobs that in 10, 20, 30 years not going to be a need for people to do those jobs, or at least not in the same like numbers that we have today. And so
No, it's not going to be that long. It's going to be 5 to 10 years.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, it's right now. It's
already happening.
Yeah, it's already happening, but it's not going to stop happening, right? It's
going to continue. You think Amazon fulfillment centers will keep employing humans into the foreseeable future? You think in 10 years will be humans there? I mean, maybe just to fix the machines. Other than that, not. Yeah. And by then, in 10 years, fully automated cars and trucks will be common. And you think, how all these people employed in delivering, that's going to be gone. Just for starters. Yeah. And the transportation of goods, there are going to be automated trucks. Tesla's already designing automated 18-wheel trucks. Yeah. The future is here. It's just not evenly distributed yet, but you can already look at what technology exists right now and see just scaled out over the next decade to see where things are going. It's not like, Andrew Yang or anyone's just making stuff up. This stuff is here right now. Yeah. It's
Andrew. The only difference is people like him and people who are, thinking like some people are some people are still fighting the change that's happened. Like people just are not even acknowledging what is happening, right? People like Andrew Yang are saying, this is what's happening. Like, this is not a theory. This is what's happening. It's already happening. We need to look at it. And then there's all these other people who are saying, let's try to maintain status quo and all that because it's, society's slow to change, right? And so if we could, because I know that we've got maybe, I don't know, 10 15 minutes or so more to chat with you. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about just creating, because you're a YouTube creator, you are a content creator, you show up consistently. I mean, throughout the years, basically whenever I, want to check in with you guys and see what's up.
We're here.
You're there. You're posting the content, man. And that is, I really got to give you guys props for that, because you guys have consistency over the years and you're there for people. And I think you got a big fan base of people who really appreciate what you do. So how do you think about creativity, whether it's content creativity, what could you speak to your process? What inspires you? Give people a bit of insight into that.
That's hard. I didn't really talk about all the various things I've done throughout my life, but yeah, some people, longtime followers know I've been a musician for most of my life. I've put out over 10 full-length albums, produced them all. So I wrote the songs. Creativity is just a part of how I flow. It's just hard to turn that off. In fact, it's kind of a problem if you're too creative. You have too many things you want to pursue. You have to narrow it down. If pick your battles. But yeah, as far as YouTube goes, as long as there's something happening that kind of inspires me, and the things that inspire me to make a YouTube video could be weird. I might just see some guy make a video. I'm no longer vegan anymore. I tried going vegan and it didn't work for me. I was fasting for 35 days and staring at the sun, but eating all those plants, all those legumes and rice and beans and potatoes, that's why I'm so sick right now and I can't keep food down. So when I see crap like that, that inspires me. I get a little angered like that. It's like, no, let's just go and look at the facts here. Again, that's what our videos are about. These ones where you see me talking into the camera like this, I'm just looking at the facts. Not trying to destroy people's reputations or lie or make crap up. I'm all about truth. And that goes back to, I guess, when I studied philosophy in college, the study of truth and facts. So yeah, it inspires me when I see misinformation like that. Joe Rogan going on talking about vegans are bad because, plants have feelings and the combine harvesters kill all these animals. And so it's great. You might as well just go out and just kill even more animals through animal agriculture and hunting and all that stuff.
Yeah, might as well, right? Yeah.
Whenever I see just nonsense like that, or other guys go on a show talk about when you're vegan, you're pretty much always going to be deficient in all these vitamins and minerals. And over time, you're going to become like dead, basically, And so I just like to go and respond to this dumb misinformation. So yeah, whenever I see stuff like that, it's hard to hold me back. I have to make a video. I'm compelled. I'm just going to do it.
That's good. That's good that you're able to, harness that energy, and you have, it sounds like you have a really sort of healthy relationship with creativity, and that it's basically just, it's just a part of you, you're always creating, as you said. And and I guess, it's something that, like, I don't know how you hold yourself accountable, or what keeps you, for me, I find it really helps, because we are advocating for, a cause that's sort of bigger than ourselves. That's where I draw a lot of inspiration from, is like, even if I'm making a video that's not about veganism, it's still, I don't know. It's almost like, it's just such a, because I would say for you, you really are focused on veganism and, vegan advocacy, and that, like, would you say that that's like, even before you were vegan, though, you were creative, right? So it's not,
absolutely.
It's not like you went vegan and you said, oh, how can I spread the vegan message? I'll start being creative. You were already creative. And then as you became vegan, it just sort of worked.
It's just a natural outflow of who I was already. That's why I said you should play to your strengths. I was already on social media. My Twitter account, I think if you go back to it, it started in like 2007 or 8. I wasn't hardcore involved trying to get a big following. It just shows I've been on social media before that, on sites that people may have never heard of, like mp3.com, MySpace, stuff like that. Just what I've been doing. So I'm used to social media. I'm used to talking into microphones. I'm a musician, and video making. So it was just a natural extension of who I am, what I do to make YouTube videos. But a lot of people aren't familiar or comfortable with those sorts of ways of expressing themselves. The technology is required. So don't do that. Do something else.
So in the spirit of creating videos, can we talk about TikTok? Is that something that you've dabbled in?
No, I see what TikTok videos are, and I really don't think I'm really all that good at like dancing and stuff like that. So
it's not all dancing. It's not, dude. I'll tell you right now. TikTok is whatever you want it to be. TikTok is YouTube back in like 2000, and like whenever YouTube was like, it really is something to consider, man. I would highly suggest getting because I looked for Happy Healthy Vegan on TikTok before, and I didn't see anybody with the username, so you might want to.
Oh shoot, yeah. All right, I'm gonna go get it right now.
Snag that right now, because somebody's gonna grab that soon, because everybody's moving on there. So
you scare me. All right.
So, get on there and use it, man. I've amassed 150 or like just shy of 150,000 followers in like 4.5 months.
Wow, what are you doing?
Just vegan videos. I was out in Thailand, and I can speak a bit of Thai, so I made some videos in Thai, and that kind of grabbed some attention and stuff. But it's just organic reach, dude. It's really, you obviously have built, and I think you guys would have started YouTube in a time where you were riding that organic wave, I would say. Would you say is that fair to say? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And whereas now, for new YouTube creators or new, anybody who's getting on social media, it's a lot harder to amass a following now, because the organic reach has gone down so much. But on TikTok, it's back again. And so I'm loving it. And so that's a tip to you. If you're not on there already, get on there, and we'll we can duet some videos and do some TikTok challenges, and we'll get you dancing anyways. I'll tag you in some kind of a vegan dance challenge or something.
All right, cool.
I've got some good ones in mind, actually. I'll send you some. Maybe you and Angie can make.
All right, I'll look for Happy Healthy Vegan later on today and friend us, or however it works on there.
Yes, we'll do. And obviously TikTok is not maybe not the most happening platform to send people to if they want to learn more about you guys. I know you guys have your website. Where should people go if they want to check out because you guys actually have a lot of great resources you put out. You've done some ebooks, and I think you got a new cookbook coming out, right? The Keep It Carbs ebook.
Yeah,
something like that.
we've had that. Yeah, we've had those books out for a while. Angie's working
Nice.
on her follow up. We'll hopefully have some time during this whole lockdown to finish it up. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
we've
good
been
time for
busy as
that.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but is it your website there, happyhealthyvegan.org?
Healthyvegan.org. Just Google Happy Healthy Vegan. You'll find all our YouTube, Instagram, our website, and our shop, where you can get our ebook, our physical book, which we're almost out of right now. And yeah,
Nice. That's good.
just find us. We're all over the internet.
Easy. All right. Well, Ryan, man, it's been great chatting with you, man. I hope maybe we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Good.
thanks, Jason.
Good
Appreciate it.
stuff. Awesome. Thanks. We'll catch you guys next time on the Vegan Champion Podcast.